mostly they'll be maintaining two kinds of data storages or databases. One is called transactional database. Another one is called analytical database. So let me now put it in very simple terms. Any organization, first of all, they maintain the current data, the present information in one database. All the historical information is maintained in the database. Say for example, you take a bank and I'm holding an account in this particular bank, maybe for the last 10 years. Throughout these 10 years, what are the transactions that I have done? Maybe withdrawals, deposits, transfers, loan repayments, whatever. All these transactions throughout these 10 years, what I have done, all are your historical records. All this historical information is not available in your transactional database or the database that stores your current data. What do you mean by current data? It may be the current balance available and maybe last two transactions that you have done, whatever. So the current information, the latest data is available in your transactional database. All your historical information is available in your analytical database. Transactional data in sense current information. Analytical database in sense historical information. Now, why we are talking about these two databases here is primarily how the information is brought into this analytical database from time to time on a regular period of intervals, say for example maybe once in a week or something. You will be bringing the new information that has been added to your transactional database. Maybe in this week 2 or 3 customers have opened a new accounts, or maybe some of the existing customers have done some new transactions this week. That means there is some new information available in your transactional database in the form of altogether new records, or in the form of there is some changes happened to their profile information or account information. So basically there are some changes. Now these changes from time to time, you will be bringing those new changes and appending to your analytical database, so that over a given period of time, maybe at the end of an year, throughout all these years, what are the transactions that we have done, or any customer have done, or any new accounts have been added. Each and every change has been captured and logged into an analytical database, which in turn will become as historical information. Now, when we do this, when we refresh our transactional data or the current information into historical information, we do not simply capture and copy and paste into historical information. Right? We don't simply copy, paste, or dump the data from our transactional database into our analytical database. We will be processing that information through ETL. Okay, ETL is a set of activities wherein it helps us to deal with the data to perform certain data transformations. Data transformation in sense, as the name itself closely indicates, it helps us transform the raw information coming from our source database and deliver that into the customized transformed data. Say for example, there is a sales organization, maybe like Walmart. Now Walmart has decided to maintain their analytical database. So usually this historical information or analytical databases are called data mart or data warehouse. Right? Now, Walmart, we're talking about the sales organization example. Walmart has decided to maintain a data warehouse so that whenever they would like to check and see how their sales were for a particular product during a certain period of time, they can analyze, and if there is any statistics that they found, like for a product in a particular given month and a particular store, the demand was high, but the inventory was not having the enough number of products, so they couldn't give the uh, enough number of products away, so that they'll end up not making much profits, right? So maybe in some other store and during some other period of time, some other product has left out. Many of the products are left out in the store itself. Okay, they had 100 items, but only 10 were sold. There was like, again, there was mismatch of demand and supply. So how these information they'll be able to know across all the stores that they're having, and about all the products that they sell. So if they have access to all the information, maybe last year, last 2 years, last 10 years, if they have all the information available at one place, it helps them to analyze that particular data and chalk out new plans to improvise their business. So the primary purpose of having a data warehouse or a data mart is to be able to access the information, analyze it, and further improvise their systems and so on. So in order to build these data warehouses, the one that maintains our historical information, and in technical terms we call it as analytical database, is populated by processing your transactional information through ETL techniques. Alright, as I mentioned, ETL techniques in sense, we do not simply copy and paste the information, we transform the data. So now, as I quoted here the Walmart example, say for example, while they wanted to maintain this historical information, they also want to derive some of the additional attributes, maybe quarterly profit or quarterly margin, how much they have got. This quarterly profit or margin is not directly available in your transactional database, right? You have to derive it by calculating the number of products sold and how much amount they have quoted on top of the actual price that they have paid to all the vendors. So all this information they have to calculate and then load those derived information into a historical database. So likewise, you are transforming your data. It may be deriving some information, and also it may be like you may wanted to exclude some of the attributes. Alright. So likewise, you do not simply process your raw information to your data warehouses or data marts. You will transform that information. So that transformation of the data is what primarily done in your ETL phase, right? So that's where actually you primarily implement ETL. Just a minute, guys. Basically used, and now let me explain a bit in detail about what is ETL. As of now, I'm talking about ETL, and all right. So what exactly meant by ETL? ETL is a short form of extraction, transformation, and loading. Okay, it's a three-phase activity: extraction, transformation, and loading. In the extraction phase, the primary activity is to read the data from any kind of your source system. Alright, let me take the same Walmart example here. Let's say Walmart is capturing different kinds of information through their different systems. Let's start with their billing counters. What are the products that we go buy in their store? We get the billing, right? They generate a billing at the counter and so on. So where exactly that information may be saved? Let's say they are saving that information into a Oracle database or some SQL Server database, basically a relational database. Okay, this is one form of data that they are capturing on daily basis. Another one is the same Walmart is capturing some other information, maybe like they have this customer service center. Okay, whenever we would like to lodge a complaint and if we would like to know any more details, we can call upon their toll-free number and get the details. Now, what are the calls that they receive? All the information, the call data, maybe they are capturing into an application database like SAP CRM system or ERP system. Now, this is an application database. Okay. Now, again, the same Walmart for some other information, maybe they are capturing those data into Excel files. Okay. Now, the same organization is getting their real-time data on regular basis through different source systems, and they would like to maintain one centralized data warehouse, one common data warehouse wherein they can bring all different kinds of source data and place it into one centralized data warehouse. Maybe let's say it is Netija or something. Now, when you build your ETL jobs, when you create your ETL mappings and so on, you should be able to read from all these different source systems and integrate that particular data together. Correct? So in the extraction phase, what we'll be doing is primarily to be able to read the data from all your external systems, and these external systems can be heterogeneous. Heterogeneous in the sense any type of the system, okay, different types. So extraction, to simplify that in very layman terms, extraction is to read the data or extract or fetch, what are the word we can use. Extraction in the sense to read or extract or fetch the data from, we can also mention heterogeneous external sources. Now once we extract the data from any kind of source system and bring that into one common area, we may call it as a landing area, and I'll explain more about those landing and so on later. So once we extract the data or basically read the data from all your external systems and bring that into one common area, we then implement our second phase of activity called transformation. So in all the three phases, extraction, transformation, and loading, transformation is the important activity because at this point of time is what we'll be dealing with the data. So this transformation of the data can be of any kind depending on the requirement. It can be a cleansing activity, it can be a data validation activity, or it can be a data derivation activity. Cleansing in sense, you may want to remove some unwanted information. Okay, you may want to do some typecasting. Okay, so whatever it is, there are certain activities which can be cleansed as data cleansing. Another one is validation of the data. If certain source systems, while capturing the data, say for example there is a website, okay, there is an organization, for them there is a web application, and while they take the entries from their website, they might not have done any front-end validation. So for example, email ID. So while they capture their details from their customers, when there is an email ID attribute in their website, even if I enter some invalid entry there, it is accepting. Basically, there wasn't front-end validation implemented. Now, while we process our data through this ETL, we were asked to do that particular data validation. We were asked to process only those records with a valid email ID. Now, I can write the required logic to check and see whether there is an @ symbol or not, whether there is a valid domain suffix or not, like gmail.com or yahoo.com, whatever. Likewise, Data validations also we can do while we process information through transformation phase. Coming to derivation example, on top of the raw data coming from the source system, let's say employee information coming from the source system. Now for each and every employee record, salary information and commission information are coming. Now I was asked to deliver annual salary, which I have to multiply my salary into 12 and give that information in addition to the source data. And I was asked to calculate tax information also. So for tax information, what I have to do? Calculate annual salary. On top of that, whatever the annual amount that I get, I have to check and see whether it is on beyond with my slab details. Maybe like if in the Indian currency terms, if it is in between the 5 lakhs and 10 lakhs, certain percentage of tax has to be applied. In between 10 lakhs or above, certain percentage of tax has to be applied. So likewise, some customized calculations also you can do, which is basically considered as we are deriving the data on top of the raw information coming from the source system. So that's what data derivations means. So basically whatever you deal with the data, whatever you play around with the data is done in your transformation phase. Now once you are done doing the data transformations, see all these data transformations will be performing based upon the business requirement. Right? Business people will tell us in clear, saying that okay, I require the data in so and so form. You need to deliver so and so attributes for us. So all this information will be purely based on the business requirement. We'll be performing the required data transformations. Once we are done doing the data transformation, then comes the third phase, which is called as a loading phase. So loading phase, in a very simple terms, is to deliver the data to our target systems, okay, the ultimate target systems, your data marts or data warehouses. Now, while delivering this information, while loading the data into your target systems, one important aspect is loading the data in incremental way. Okay, incrementally loading the data. What is incremental load is, say for example, on a very first day, your source database, whatever you consider a database as a source for your ETL job, is maybe having 100 records. Okay, and your target is empty. As of now, it is empty. Now, when you run the mapping, your mapping will read all the 100 records from your source and load your target with those 100 records. So at the end of first day, you have all the 100 records loaded to target. Now maybe by the time you run the job on the second day, in your source database, some 10 new records got added to the existing 100. Now the total count available in my source is 110. Now when you run your job should be able to identify only those 10 new records, process only those 10 new records, and add it to the existing target. Now at the end of second day also, in my target, I'll have all the 110 records. I just had to process only 10, but still I have the entire 110 records. Similarly again on day 3, let's say this time there are no new records. Record count has not changed, same 110 is there. But this time what happened was, within the existing 110, maybe 5 of the records have been updated. Maybe let's say if it is employee information, maybe the salary information got changed, or maybe their address information got updated, whatever. Some updates were happened. Now again, your job should be able to identify only those 5 changes and bring those changes to your target, and maybe you can decide to override on the existing 5 records. So you can also add new instances to the record. Let's say I decided to add new instances. I may have 115 records. So what you observe in all these scenarios, whenever you run the job, only the change in information, whether it is a new information available or whether it is updated information available in the source system, you are processing that tiny amount of data set. If you can just correlate this to real-time scenarios, in the real time we'll be dealing with millions, billions of the records. So every day it is not advised to process all the 1 million or 1 billion data set. If you can just identify that 10K records or 20K records, whichever has been changed on that particular day, and process only that little amount of data set, your job activities will be very much reliable. So this activity of reading that much amount of, that little amount of data which has been changed or which has been added newly, this is called incremental loading, right? I'm just giving you very simple terms here. We'll go in detail and in further sessions. So this incremental loading concept is primarily implemented in your loading phase while you write the data to your target systems. Now, while writing to write or incrementally load the data into, now here also, while writing, we have the ability to write to any kind of target system. Okay, sometimes an organization is having their data mart or data warehouse maintained in SQL Server itself. Some organization may be maintaining their database in Teradata, some in Netezza. In some requirements, we were asked to generate some files, maybe CSV files or Excel files. So even if the target that we need to deliver is in the form of a file, so no matter what kind of target we were asked to load or generate, we will be able to do that in all your jobs through any ETL tool. So that's what here, like data into, again we can mention a word, heterogeneous external target systems. So this is what ETL means. Extraction is where we primarily concentrate on reading the data from all our external systems. Then transform the data depending on the list of requirements that we have got from the client. And then we deliver the data to our ultimate target systems, the loading phase. So extraction, transformation, and loading. So this is what a very generic explanation about ETL. And to perform this particular ETL activity, we will be choosing a particular tool to work on. Okay, ETL tools. There are a bunch of ETL tools available in the market. To name a few, Informatica PowerCenter is one of them, and IBM DataStage, Microsoft is also having their ETL component called SSIS, Oracle Data Integrator ODI, Ab initio is also one of the prominent tools. We also see these days open source tools emerging in the market like Talend, Pentaho, etc. Okay. So many ETL tools that we can choose, any of the ETL tool we can choose and perform the ETL activity that we have talked about above. Now, in this course that we are going to learn, we are going to use the tool Informatica PowerCenter. PowerCenter is the most prominent ETL tool and most popular ETL tool for its ability to deal with more number of external systems and also for its ability to deal with huge volumes of data with ease when compared to any other ETL tools. Okay, so Informatica PowerCenter is what we are going to learn our ETL techniques. So that's pretty much about the preface that I can give on what we are going to learn throughout this course. And so until here, if you have any questions, please feel free to let me know. Is this clear so far? Any kind of queries? Are you able to follow?
Yeah, we were able to follow, Raj. It looks good.
Alright, so that's pretty good then. So Informatica
How many days is
powercenter.
this course for?
Yeah, come again, please.
How many days is the course needed to complete?
Now we get into the course particulars. Now talking about the course, this is designed for maximum of 25 hours. And the daily 1 hour will be having daily 1 to 1.5 hour maximum. Usually 1 hour. When we get into our advanced ETL module, sometimes depending on the topic that we're discussing on that particular day, it may take up to 1.5 hour. So on this space, we'll be able to complete our course in maximum of 4 weeks. Alright, 5 days a week, Monday to Friday. So in maximum of 4 weeks, we'll be able to complete our course. Now, from this course, you'll be getting recorded sessions for your later reference whenever you wanted to refer